I'll respectfully disagree. I don't think we're seeing deterioration of credit quality at all. If anything, we are seeing extreme stability of credit quality in our portfolio. The fluctuations in delinquencies are seasonal. They always are. Perhaps that is what you're referencing. But just to reiterate, our credit quality is a setting. Our loans are very, very short term. The weighted average is something like 4 or 5 months. We decide what it is that we're going to risk every quarter. And by halfway point of the quarter, half the volume has already been paid off. And so our risk is inherently controlled by the settings that we make in credit. The volume we're seeing and the revenue growth we just posted speak for themselves. We're doing really, really well. Very excited about the holiday season, obviously, but the credit quality is exactly in the kind of control that we want it to be.
That's fascinating. And as we see inflation come down, I guess, and we saw consumer confidence very strong today. That's all good news for you. I wonder about your stable of merchants. And specifically, Max, I'm wondering not just who and how quickly it's growing, but how does a merchant come to a decision, we're going to work with Affirm, we're going to establish buy now, pay later, and it's better for our business? What kind of arguments do you think they go through?
So, this is kind of the pivotal moment. Until about even maybe 2 quarters ago, we would come into a merchant conversation, small or large, and say, hey, buy now, pay later is a thing. Look at us. It's 6-7% of e-commerce. You're missing out. You got to turn on Affirm. There are all these people. It has flipped. We're just 500,000 active in the last 12 months, shy of 20 million active consumers. The conversation isn't about should we use this or not. We're sort of past the point of niche, interesting thing that some kids are using these days. It is a massive trend, buy now, pay later writ large, and Affirm within it is the largest. We're half the revenue of the whole industry. It is now a conversation of, can we implement this before the holiday season, or do we have to wait until January? The demand from the merchant side of the house is really, really strong right now, especially as we head into the holidays.
Is there kind of an indirect way to use Affirm with merchants that don't necessarily work directly with you? I mean, can I go around and through Apple Pay, for example, or through Amazon Pay?
Thank you for teeing that up. I should have mentioned that we are integrated in your favorite digital wallet, whatever it is. We have a massive digital wallet strategy that is just really beginning to roll out. Obviously, you mentioned a few names. We are in all of those. We're in Shop Pay also. We are in Amazon Pay. We are in Google Pay. There's a million places, and half dozen places you can find us. And it's also no secret that our probably my favorite product anyway is the Affirm card. That is something we launched at scale about a year ago. We just posted just shy of 1.5 million active consumers. Those are the strongest, most committed consumers we have in our portfolio. They use the card all the time. They're basically shifting it to be their top of wallet product. So very excited about that. But Affirm is available to you both at the point of sale and in our app.
You know, the interesting thing about the Apple Pay deal, we spoke just months ago when you really had it start taking off. What is the uptick there? How are you seeing the platform being used on third parties?
So we spoke months ago about the impending launch, but it's only been around for a couple of weeks. So it's a little too early to report progress there. We're very excited about not just Apple Pay, but our entire wallet strategy. It has worked really well for us so far, and obviously this particular one is one of the most popular.
On the credit cards in particular, it's interesting because when you think about the buy now, but you and I have talked about this so much, where does the credit card industry fall in relation to where you are playing, right? Where does the discrepancy happen? And with the Affirm card as well, how are you competing at perhaps a whole new scale?
That's exactly right. We are going offline with the card. That's the single most important thing about what we did with the Affirm card. It's a great alternative to credit cards. It works online, works offline exactly the same way. You program in the app whether you want the next transaction to be a loan or a pay now. You can also decide afterwards if you wanted to turn it into a loan. It's very versatile, and half the volume of our Affirm card consumers is offline, and it's growing very rapidly. Last quarter, this number was 45%. The quarter before, it was just north of 40. So people are learning that Affirm can be helpful to them where they go shopping, be it for a party, cart full of groceries, or for a big screen TV, or online. And so we are replacing credit card volume. Fortunately, there is a plus or minus $1 trillion of e-commerce alone and a few $1 trillion of non-e-commerce transactions. Most of that is on credit cards and debit cards, and that's what we're eating into.
Max, we had a Fed meeting that was pretty uneventful yesterday, with the exception of some talk about whether or not Trump could fire Powell. That has nothing to do with your business, but they did say that the employment picture is starting to ease up a bit. And I wonder if you noticed that in your business as well.
As I mentioned, we are feeling very good about our credit performance, credit outcomes. The most important metric I track in terms of macroeconomic state of affairs in this country is employment. So any good employment news is great news for us. We have not seen deterioration in our book. And so from my point of view, it's always been good news. It's been very steady news, which is the best kind. But anything Federal Reserve has to say about the stability and improvement in the job market is just going to accrete to our bottom line, which we will happily reinvest to approve more folks, to drive more exciting deals, et cetera. So from my point of view, the Fed news were great news yesterday.